What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, everybody? We are on two social networks right now. We're on TikTok and we are on YouTube live right now. I have like 30 questions that y'all have sent me, 30 questions that I have seen over the last couple months about independent adjusting in general, and what the outlook looks like for 2026, and how you can take advantage of that. Right. I'm gonna let everybody get in here. Shout out to everybody who's in here already. As you are hopping in here, whether you're on TikTok over here or YouTube over here, uh, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? I want to know where y'all are watching this from. Okay, I am recording from Salvador Bahia, Brazil. Some of y'all on TikTok know. I think y'all know on YouTube as well. Y'all know I live down here in Brazil. I've been independent adjusting for a while now. What's up, Danny? How you doing? Hey, you like the hair? I'm glad you like the hair. I'm glad you like to hear it. Danny, what's up? Yeah. A few things have changed, y'all. A few things have changed since the last time I started doing all these things, right? These lives. Um, and I have new information for y'all. I've been good. I have been good. I appreciate you asking. Stacy, that the hair is live. Yes, Stacy, the hair is live. TikTok, what's up, y'all? Thank y'all for hopping in here. We're gonna be talking about independent adjusting tonight. Okay. If you don't know about what independent adjusting is, you got questions, you got concerns, you got doubts, whatever it is you want to know about independent adjusting, guys. I'm here to help y'all. Been in this business since 2015. I've been in insurance since 2008. So this is year 18 for me in insurance. This is year 11 for me as a licensed independent adjuster. I've taught thousands of people paid, and I've probably taught tens of thousands of people just on social media in general, right? So a couple new things with me, as y'all see, my hair has obviously changed, and I've lost a bunch of weight. So uh, I did it the hard way, a lot, just being hungry, and also some new things for me. Also, I was a manager. I was a manager on my last deployment. I handled a team of 10 people. And then I had another team of 10 people that I was helping. A lot of y'all on TikTok worked with me actually in 2024 and 2025. And, it's been a ball. Okay. It has been a ball being able to handle claims in the way I was handling it. And also going from a teaching role, doing what I do now with all y'all, and going into management, I got to, you know, have a hands-on role in training a lot of adjusters. And so as we go into insurance adjusting and the outlook we have 2026, I'm going to be giving y'all some tips and some advice on how y'all handle claims, how y'all go about getting hired. Okay. Hey, Dale, what's going on? How you doing? Glad to see you. Hope you're having a good year so far. So I'm gonna be giving y'all tips, advice, and strategy. I think that in my 10-year career as an adjuster, I think that what has helped us the most, and by us I mean those of us who are experienced adjusters, what has helped us the most is consistent strategy. Right. So before I get into all that, we're going to start going in and asking questions. Okay. So if anybody got any questions about anything first, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Go ahead and start putting in comment sections. I have a list of like 40 questions that I want to answer. And some of these questions are a bit redundant, but these are just things I grab from comment sections of my videos that I wanted to answer on screen, because the thing is, a lot of people have the same questions over and over and over again. All right. And so the first thing that I want to answer, and this is for my adjusters who have less than 2 years of experience, I find that all of y'all make very similar assumptions. And it kind of goes into the strategy side of this thing. And one of the assumptions I see people make, and it's an incorrect assumption, is that one, nobody hires new people, and two, you have to go staff to be able to be an independent adjuster. Okay. Now, what I'll say is that these are not rules. Okay. None of what I just said is a rule. You do not have to be a staff adjuster to then go be an independent adjuster. Right. You could be an independent adjuster right when you get licensed. That's exactly what I did. That's what thousands of my students have done, right? And so we don't want to subscribe to rules that are just made up. We don't want to subscribe ourselves to assumptions, right? There's so many assumptions in our business that hold people back. They're probably holding you back, right? Here's another assumption that people have, okay? All right, well, I heard this person online, so, they must know more about it because they've already had a deployment before. Well, guys, I got news for you, okay? I've been on dozens, not 12, not 24. I've been on dozens of deployments. I've worked with thousands of insurance adjusters in real life on remote deployments, and I've got to teach a lot of people. And what I found is that even a person that's in year 1 or year 2 of the business, even if they're sharing things with you, they only know a bit about the business, right? So, for example, let's say somebody's a desk adjuster, right? And so they handle desk adjusting claims for State Farm for their first year in the business of independent adjusting. So now they want to tell you about auto claims, right? Well, even though they have experience as an adjuster, they don't have any experience on the auto side. They only have experience on the property side or the field side or vice versa, you know? Or they only have experience with one operating system. Let's say, for example, State Farm. So they only have experience with ECS. ECS is the claim system they use over there at State Farm. So if they start talking and they're so matter of fact about everything, well, that only works for one carrier in one style of claim handling, right? But it doesn't work for everything else. What am I trying to say? What I want to say is that we have to filter who we're going to listen to, right? Because I have worked with so many different people, because I've worked with so many different carriers, I've also learned a general way of handling claims, not just the State Farm way, the Allstate way, the Hallmark way, right? Slide claims way, right? That's what Stacy says. Having deployments simply means that they answer the phone at the right time or called in at the right time. Deployments do not equal adjusting ability. Thank you for saying that more concisely than me, Stacy. All right? It just means that they got deployed and they get to work. It does not mean they have adjusting ability, right? Because I work with people, I manage people who were on deployments for 5, 6, 7 months, and they're not good. They're just not that good yet. They'll be good in the years to come, but they're not good yet, right? And so we have to pay attention to who we're listening to, especially my new adjusters. Okay, if you're a year, 2 years in the business, you got 2 deployments on your belt, you are new. Okay, me and Deb worked together in 2016, 2017. We were working together. Me and Stacy worked together in 2017. This is a long time ago, right? And we continue to get better at handling claims, all right? Me and Deb, when we started working together, Deb is on here, by the way, y'all. That's how I'm talking to her, and that's how I'm talking about Stacy. We both have worked together, all 3 of us. And I use them as examples because we got to watch each other get better at different styles of claim handling, okay? You're gonna have deployments, guys, where you're gonna be working with certain states, right? Or certain management styles or certain operating systems, and it's gonna require you to be more specific in how you write file notes. It's gonna require you to be more empathetic in how you do customer service and how you talk to your insurers. DJ, what's up, man? It's also gonna require you to be better at Xactimate or better at, whatever operating system we have, right? So it's a lot of variables that go into making you a good adjuster. And you're only gonna get good by emulating good adjusters and having time, okay? Time emulating good adjusters will make you a good adjuster, okay? I got a whole library of courses that I teach that can help you with that. But at the end of the day, you gotta start handling claims and touching claims, all right? And the more you touch claims, the more you listen to what good adjusting is, the easier it is for you to see who is a good adjuster, who you should be listening to online, right? Vet me as well, okay? If y'all watch me on TikTok or YouTube, y'all have access to probably 200 videos I posted. Go look at what I talk about as far as insurance adjusting is concerned, right? More than likely, you're gonna hear some good stuff there. it's rare that I just say something stupid, right? Or I don't fix what it is that I said that was dumb, right? I'm not saying I'm always right, but I am saying that I'm gonna get you right where you're trying to go, right? So that's that first question answered. We got some more questions. I got a ton of questions, y'all. Ton of questions that I grabbed. So my husband is a veteran adjuster on many rosters with plenty of experience, state license and certifications, and all the firms keep saying it is slow. We need some work ASAP, anywhere. All right, so this ain't my first rodeo on the slow train, okay? Anybody been in this business a decade? Anybody been in this business since 2015 and back till now will tell you that we have had multiple slow seasons, right? Now, this is what I want to pause for everybody. And I want to remind everybody of something, right? Whenever it is slow, it doesn't mean it has stopped. Somebody is deployed somewhere today, right now. Somebody has been working for a year straight. Okay? So I'm going to talk about two parts of this idea of it being slow. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is that when you all get deployed, okay, because y'all are going to get deployed at one point or another. When you get deployed, it's your job to last as long as you possibly can on your insurance adjusting deployment. Okay. That's your first order of business. All right. My mother, okay, Tony Story, she did 5 years straight on a deployment. Okay. 5 years straight. She went from 2016 to 2021 on a deployment. Left, then came back and worked with me again. I was one of her managers. We worked, me and my mother, I worked with my mother 3 different times while she was on the same contract. Okay? Like, that's how long you can go. You can go even longer than that on these deployments. But number one is to ensure that you don't experience slow seasons, you need to ingratiate yourself in an IA firm. Okay? Get to know your management. Let them know you want to work. Show people you want to work. Deb, Stacy, y'all know this to be true. Talk to your management, and you do not wait until it gets slow before you start. Let me see how this is. Remove background noise. That's it. Yeah. You don't wait till it gets slow to start telling your manager, hey, I want to do this work. I want to be here. You let them know early on, I want to be here. I want to be here for the long haul. Start saying that in the first few weeks. But you can't just say it. You got to show it. You come early. You stay late. You don't miss work. Okay? We are in competition with other independent adjusters, just so everybody understands that. I'm going to get to the point about slow season, guys. But I want to make it clear to everybody. Okay? We are in direct competition with everyone we're on a deployment with. So what we're going to do is let people know, I want to be here. I want to stick around with y'all for a while. That's on the desk side or the field side. That goes further than you think. Okay? I told my managers those things early on. Okay? On every deployment I really wanted to be on, because every deployment I didn't want to be on. Some of them I didn't like the system. I didn't like where it was at. But the ones I really want to stay at and got to stay long term was because of those things. Now, that's the first part. One is once you get deployed, stay there as long as you can. But the next thing is, as it relates to slow seasons, is this is a part of our business. Because we at the end of the day, we deal with human error and weather. So if it's on the auto side, we're dealing with car accidents, right? And if we're on the property side, we're dealing with hurricanes, fires, hailstorms, flooding, so on and so forth. So if anybody watches the weather, you know that it's sunny some days and ain't no bad weather. And we also know that everybody don't get in car wrecks every 5 minutes on the road. Most people make it home safely every night, right? So we're going to have these ebbs and flows in our business, okay? Now, what do you do in these seasons? Hey, Stephen, slow. It's been slow for a year. Hey, guys, all right. Figure it out. What were you doing before you was an adjuster, right? I know for some of y'all had 6 months, year-long waits between deployments, but I think that is where, and I really want to speak clearly about this, because one thing I learned really quickly about independent adjusting was that the independent adjusters who did the best also had other streams of income, right? They had other streams of income that they were taking advantage of, right? I met independent adjusters that had hair salon, barbershops, they owned commercial property, they did vending machine work, right? They were teachers, they worked at high schools, middle school, stuff like that, when they weren't handling claims, right? For me, when I'm not handling claims, I'm teaching people how to handle claims, right? The best of us as independent adjusters do not rely on one stream of income. Is this a job? Yes. But more than a job, it is an opportunity for us to make large amounts of money or higher income streams that then we can then invest in ourselves to build our skills or invest into a business or get out of debt, so on and so forth, right? So I'm not going to tell you that, hey, we're going to be working nonstop. That works for some of us. But for all of us, all right, we're talking about generalities now, we need to think more like business owners. Yes, we work contract jobs, but we own our job. Okay? So like I told you, we're going to talk about strategy tonight. So I have to look at this in a strategic way. Hey, I know that I have a skill that when I get called up, I can make $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month for a period of time. After that, I can't anymore. So when it ends, what do? I'm going to take this lump sum of money and I'm going to do something with it. And I would hope that y'all aren't just holding money and then you just spend it all. I've seen that happen a million times. Thank y'all for joining on TikTok. Appreciate all y'all hopping in on TikTok. We're talking about independent adjusting right now. The career of independent adjusting has been an amazing business. Not a lot of people know about it. It has ups and downs, but it has been amazing for me and my family over the years, right? And so my job is to tell as many people about it as possible and get them licensed and get them hired and get them on the path of insurance, because it's been amazing. So again, thank y'all for hopping in on TikTok. Now, and Stacy, I was going to get to that, right? So having a budget for the year and not doing lifestyle creep will take you places. Correct. I am 100%. Stacy has known me. Deb has known me. They have never seen me buy a brand new car in the decade I've been working in this business. Okay. I have never bought a new car. I have made over $1 million just as an insurance adjuster. Okay. I have never bought a new car, and obviously I make $1 million in the same year, clearly. But over the course of my career, I went on to I've done six figures, several times to make that money, right? But I never went and bought some brand new car. I never went and got out these crazy car payments and, crazy lifestyle creep, right? If you can be disciplined, I'm telling y'all, if y'all can be disciplined with your income, especially in those first few years, and just delay going out and buying, watches and cars and doing all these crazy trips. If you can just delay that for the first 3 years in the business, y'all, you're going to make it. And by make it, I mean, you're going to have a strong financial cushion. Okay. Let's do some simple math. Okay. Because how I like to look at deployments. And again, by the way, y'all can always stop me at any time if y'all want to start, y'all got questions. I'm really just talking on top of my head. But if you look at deployments as lump sums of money, right? So this is how I look at a deployment. Hey, I'm going to work here for 4 months at $12,000 a month. Okay. So $12,000 a month times 4 is $48,000 gross, taxes, so on and so forth. I want to walk away from a 4-month, $12,000 a month deployment with at least $20,000. Okay. I want to do at minimum 2 deployments like that a year. So in 1 year, I should have $40,000 in cash after taxes and living expenses. Okay. That's my math for Steven. Your math is different. Some of y'all got wives and kids, husbands, partners, spouse, all that stuff, pets and all that. Y'all got different debts, you got different goals, whatever. But those are the goals that you should be looking towards as you build out your budget, right? So if my budget says, all right, my operating income for my life every year is, I got $30,000 in bills for the year. Okay, well, if I can do 2 deployments and save $20,000 twice, I got 40 grand. All the bills are covered for the year. just off of those 2 deployments where I made, like I said, $48,000 twice, pay my taxes, so on and so forth, I still have I have some money that I can take care of my bills on the times when I'm not working, or I can put it lump sum into a business, another income stream, right? And so I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but I think y'all kind of get my math, the logic of that, right? But lifestyle creep, y'all, like I've seen so many stupid purchases as an independent adjuster. Like I remember this, Deb, you were there. Deb, you remember when I remember it was a lady, she had a Bentley. I remember an insurance adjuster had a Bentley. She had a Bentley coupe that she would take to work. I remember people driving in Porsches and stuff like that. They make $13,000 a month, so they wouldn't get a Porsche. People buying new Beamers and, buying RVs and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that is not what you want, because as soon as you get deployed, you're going to be crying the blues trying to figure out how you can make the car payment every month, right? So like, just want to drive that point home. Okay, ain't gonna talk too much about it. Elton, what's up, man? So yeah, next set of questions, guys, because I get passionate about these things because I've just seen how it plays out. So it's hard to get on the first deployment. Yes, okay, like eat lunch over at Ruth Chris every day. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all. Eating out, especially eating out at places like Ruth Chris, that's how I gained my first 20 pounds as an insurance adjuster. I was eating at Seasons 52 out there in Sandy Springs in Atlanta, and I gained a whole bunch of weight. I remember one time I was working at State Farm. I was working at Alpharetta. My friend Will, boy Willie, he I love Willie, Willie Triplet. But we would go to this Cuban place and we would get a fried red snapper and a steak each. So like that's 2 steaks plus 2 red snappers. We're big guys, right? We some big guys, bro. When I tell you I gained so much weight so quick, right? Here go me and Stacy. Stacy and I ate at Charcoals in Alabama on that deployment. Yeah, so we used to eat at a steakhouse for dinner every night. Cause I was like, man, I'm making $600 a day. I'm gonna at least get a steak. But that starts to add up because, Stacey, you remember that, we're probably spending $40 a night on dinner alone. 10 days, that's $400 on 10 steaks. That starts to add up, especially after you have, after that deployment finishes and you like, hey, I need $400. Well, damn, them 10 steaks was $400 right there. I could have got that back, right? Buy it digital says you got to live below your means. Yes, plus the drinks. Y'all, I'm getting a little off track, but I got stories for y'all, right? I gotta help y'all understand our lifestyle. So adjusters like to drink, and adjusters like to eat out a lot. Okay, young or old, that's what they do. All right, you want to go to some really nice restaurants, go hang out with insurance adjusters. And the drinking, like, yeah, I got tons of stories. I don't drink like that no more. Thank God, I had to let that stuff go. But it ain't nothing to spend $50 on drinks in a day. $50 on a drink. Because you'd be like, man, I had a hard day today, this customer, this and that and that. Let's go to Papados. Let's go to Ruth Chris. Let's go to the sushi spot. Let's go to the Korean place. Let's go to wherever that spot is. And I'm telling y'all, I remember, I'm not even exaggerating, I think I was spending like $3,500 on food. Dead serious, like $3,500 on food a month, easily. Because when I was working at State Farm, we was making so much money for so long that we had began to, I would order food for other people. I would spend $100 on donuts for our team that day, and then somebody would buy snacks, so on and so forth. So like, y'all can mess up a lot of money. Insurance adjusters mess up a lot of money on food, okay? All right, enough. All right, hey y'all, thank y'all for joining. Thank you everybody hopping in here. We're talking about independent adjusting, the career, how you get in it, your strategy around it, how you take care of your money, the pitfalls people fall into as far as spending money. All right. But the question I was saying was, it's hard to get on that first deployment. That was the question. That was a statement. And I want to get into that because it's something that so many new people have a problem with, or people who are newly licensed. And I think it's very discouraging. And I think that the assumption that people have when they get their first license is that's all they need. I got my license. I'm ready to work. And it's like, well, you ready, but you ain't qualified yet. That first license just means you got an insurance adjusting license. That's all that means. But what happens next? What happens next is you need 3 certifications, you need 5 licenses, and you need to be on some IA firm rosters. Let me break that down for everybody, okay? This is for my people who are newly licensed. They have not gotten hired yet, and they're like, what do? I got my Texas license, I got my Georgia license, I got my Louisiana license, whatever your state you live in. I got that license. Why have I not gotten hired yet? Well, this is a mistake most people make. I made the same mistake, and I'm gonna help you. So the first thing is that one license just means you're a licensed adjuster. It does not mean you're qualified, okay? You need 5 licenses. I want everybody to understand you're competing with somebody else for a job. So 5 licenses means you can handle the 16 states. There are 16 states that are not licensed in the United States, plus another 5. So that puts you at 21 states that you can handle in the United States. All right, if you get deployed. If you own one license, if you only have one license, that means you can do 17 states. Okay, so you're at a disadvantage, all right? Because you can handle less states than everybody else. The next thing is that most people don't understand how and who hires independent adjusters. The people who hire independent adjusters are not State Farm, Liberty Mutual, Geico, and these other big carriers that everybody knows. That people who hire independent adjusters are IA firms, independent adjusting firms, like Renfro, like EP Claims, like Alacrity, like Wardlaw, and the list goes on. It's hundreds of them, right? Those are the people who hire independent adjusters. So they're looking for a type of person. They want that person to have some certifications, like State Farm, like NFIP flood certifications, like TWIA, Texas Wind Insurance Association certifications. So you have certifications for insurance carriers, all right? And so the more certifications you have from insurance carriers, 100K no money. What's up, boy? What's up? So the more certifications that you have, the easier it is for you to get hired. Well, I miss you, man. Send me a DM, man. Send me a DM. I miss you. I know you be on on Twitter like you used to be. So I don't get to see you like I want to. But anyway, shoot me a DM. So what we want to look at is we want to get our 5 licenses. So what are the 5 licenses we want to get? We want to get the licenses that are most affected by hurricanes. Okay, so it's Texas, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, that's 4, and then your state license. Okay, now if you're a person who already lives in one of those states, you got to pick another one, like South Carolina or North Carolina. That gives you your 5. Okay, now certifications. State Farm is a large carrier. Texas Wind Insurance Association comes into play during hurricane season. Okay, there are other certifications out there for different IA firms. I recommend, as you apply to IA firms, I recommend you to call these IA firms up and say, hey, what certification should I get? Okay. Now, I got a course that has hundreds of IA firms on a roster list. You can get that. Probably link in my bio on TikTok, and it's in my main link on YouTube as well. So y'all can have a look at that. But that's for another day, all right? For another time. But that's what you need, all right? And that's what holds so many new people back. They get licensed, but they're not actually qualified to get hired yet. Okay? So that's that on that question. Anybody got questions about anything? Anybody got comments? Anybody want me to go in deeper detail on anything? Shout out my people on TikTok. Shout out to everybody here on YouTube as well. Getting more people in here. All right. Paul, any more questions? Next question. Okay. I've applied to several companies and no luck. I just passed my exam. What should I do? This is really part 2 to that first question, right? So these are assumptions again. These are assumptions that people have. So they get licensed as an independent adjuster. And they say, well, I applied to State Farm, I didn't get hired. Well, that's for staff adjusting. State Farm don't hire independent adjusters. You got to apply to IA firms. And then you got to follow up with them. And then they can start putting you on the track to get hired, right? Because there's all kind of stuff you got to do to get on these rosters and stay on them, right? So what I find is I'll see people, they get out there, they get their license, and they start just applying everywhere. And it's like, well, it don't really work like that. Independent adjusting is not a job in the way that other jobs are. It's different rules, okay? And you can get out here and start spinning your wheels and get discouraged because you're not following the process correctly, okay? All right, so like, I want to just get that through everybody's head. What's up, Terry? How you doing? Sly Elmo, what's up? Drosky, what's happening? We're talking about independent adjusting. It's a six-figure industry, okay? If you want to make six figures, maybe not this year, but if you want to get to the business that can get you to that level, independent adjusting is that. I've been in the business for 10 years. Welcome to this live. Appreciate y'all hopping in here. We're going to be talking about a lot of different questions people have about independent adjusting. If you got questions, feel free to ask, okay? So here's another one. How is it dealing with the people, the insurers? I figure most are rude. Now, being in management, being a manager, y'all. So being an insurance adjuster and then being a manager of insurance adjusters, you see two different sides of things, right? And so one of the things that I saw on the insurance adjuster side, I was always kind of hard with my insurers. I'm always really matter of fact. I don't really take a lot of crap from them. But what we have to remember with them is that they deserve respect. They are going through something traumatic, whether that's a car wreck, a fire, a hurricane, something has happened to their car or their house that has them calling. So they're going to be stressed. They're not in a normal situation. So you have to have empathy and allow them to get these frustrations out. They're not mad with you usually, unless you messed up. They're not mad with you. They're going to be mad with the situation. And so the quicker you can learn that, the easier it is to deal with people. Do you have rude people? Yes. Am I also rude sometimes? Also, yes. Okay. So it's one of those things, right? It's like, I think it's part of my personality a bit. I'm kind of, I can be a little feisty with my insurers, but that's only because I want to control the interaction so I can get them where they're trying to go. And I think it's a way to do everything if you can do it professionally, right? But now I say that as an adjuster. Now, as a manager and having to clean up people's messes after they done got into it with an insured, I will say that adjusters, we can be some buttholes sometimes, right? We can be some buttholes to our insurers at times. God, I have been one before, okay? But after having to clean up messes that my adjuster made and having to deal with people who, insurers that were frustrated or felt disrespected or they were feeling rude or whatever, usually it's because somebody's not answering a question properly or getting back to them in a proper amount of time, or they have not given them the correct timeline, right? And so just so you know, they're not rude, they're just frustrated, okay? Also, when it comes to these insurers, we gotta remember that half of them are going off what their friends and neighbors told them that is not true. Okay, these insurers get all kind of misinformation from television, the internet, Facebook groups, and these neighborhood HOAs and stuff. No, my insurance, I got my roof replaced in 2 days. I don't know why yours ain't get done yet. And now y'all over here tongue wrestling and jaw jacking. I love teaching claim handling. I'm not gonna teach y'all claim handling tonight. I gotta keep moving on that because this one hits near and dear to me. But the long story short is, everybody's not rude. These people are usually frustrated. They're in a place of suffering and pain. I've been able to handle. I've had the pleasure of working field claims. I did Hurricane Harvey on the ground. I did that field. Meeting people who have lost everything, lost spouses in these hurricanes, stuff like that. That stuff, it affects people and how they talk and how they act. Okay, so be patient with them, be kind with them, show some empathy, and be a professional, and you're going to get through most of these situations fairly easily. Okay, so how well do women do in the field? Okay, guys, I've seen the women all throughout our industry in upper management, doing desk claims, handling auto claims, in office and in the field. I've seen women all over the roofs and everything. Look, if you can handle a ladder, if you can drive, you can climb on that ladder, get off of it, and measure everything, you're going to be good at this business. Okay? It is not leaning male or female. Okay? There are great adjusters that are women that handle field claims. There are great women who handle inside desk claims. There are great women who handle all types of stuff in this insurance business, okay? This is not a gender-coded business. It's not just for men. It's not just for women. My mother's in this business. She's been in this business for freaking forever. You know, she retired recently. We were working this last deployment together, and we started working from home. And so me and her, we were on deployment together in another city, so we lived together in that city. And one day she woke up, she said, "Steven, I'm retiring. Tell everybody I quit." So I was a manager, right? So I had to let them know, like, "Hey, y'all, my mom quit, y'all." And she retired, but she did very well in the insurance industry, right? And so it's like, don't think that only men are good at it. Do not think that only young people are good at it. Don't think that people of a certain race are the only ones that are good at it. It's open to anybody who wants to be good at it, okay? Hope I'm making it clear. Y'all, by the way, anybody got any questions, comments, concerns? The underachieved, what's happening? Long time no see, man. Can you talk about some of the hardships and why maybe people quit halfway through on assignment? Whew. Let me tell y'all something. Again, I know this as an adjuster, but I got privy to this as a manager. A lot of people cannot deal with being away from home, okay? They cannot deal with it. They have family members, they have their house, I miss my bed. I was on a deployment where people were making $19,000 a month, okay? And they still was quitting. They couldn't take it. They couldn't take the idea of, one, like Stacey's saying, working hard, but they also couldn't they could not take being away from home. And that's okay. There's plenty of opportunities out there for people who don't want to leave their house. But what I have found for people who, especially when they're working in office or working far from home, they can't take it. It doesn't matter if they're making $19,000 a month. It doesn't matter if they're making $15,000 a month. I have tried to talk people into staying a little bit longer, you know, and they just will not do it because they miss somebody. They miss the spouse, their kids, the dog. They miss their routine, whatever that thing is. That is the number one reason I have seen people quit. Number two is you got to work, like Stacey said. I would say number one really is the homesickness. That's what I see a lot of people quit on. They won't tell you that, but as you talk to them, it'll start coming out. But the other part is the hard work, right? This is a mentally taxing business. We read probably 100 to 150 pages worth of words a day. We're reading contracts, estimates, file notes over and over and over again, okay? Jessica Bauman, let me answer this question for you, Jessica. I'm gonna answer this for you, okay? Let me finish this statement real quick. Jessica has a question. I'm gonna read it out in a second. They're reading policy. Y'all, people who have a hard time reading comprehension, this job is hell for them. I have watched people in real time be like, yo, I can't handle this. I'm like, you're getting paid $1,000 a day. I can't do it. And they quit, okay? It ain't for everybody, and that's okay. Aisha, thank you for joining. It ain't for everybody, that's okay. But I'm gonna tell you, that's why people quit. Reading comprehension, the work gets too hard, okay? That's just simple as that. And that's okay. That's not an indictment on who they are as a person. This business ain't for everybody, but it is for some people, right? Again, I'm not gonna get into teaching too much tonight because I got a lot of questions I want to answer, okay? So I bought your package years ago and I want to get my license, but I start nursing school in July. I'll be doing an online program, but I wonder if there's any flexibility for those in school. So, Jessica, what I would say is that you start nursing school in 5 months, right? So the flexibility you have is all the time between now and July to handle some insurance claims, make some extra money. And then from there, as it relates to your online program, I do not know how your online program is set up. I don't know when the semesters take breaks or anything like that. But when you're deployed, it's 50-hour minimum. You can work 50 hours a week, okay? I've seen people do all kind of things during them, you know, the time off they have, so on and so forth. But that flexibility thing, you go out the window. When you deploy, that's what you're doing. You're being deployed, right? If you have 3 months off, 4 months off from your online program, that's the time you can take to then go handle this part of the business, right? But I mean, I just don't see how, you know, all right, you work 60 hours a week. All right, well, that means you got another 108 hours to do everything else that you got to do in your life, right? Because it's 168 hours per week. So 60 of those hours are accounted for. So there's another 108 hours. Out of 108 hours, you got 8 hours of sleep you got to do, plus an hour to eat every meal, right? So it's, you know, time ticking off from there, right? So I hope I'm making it. It ain't gonna be a lot of flexibility, okay? I just want to make it straight. Just shoot straight to you. It ain't gonna be a lot of flexibility when you deploy. When you're not deployed, it's 100% do what you want to do. All right, so what advice from the manager side would you give to the new adjusters to help them be more successful? All right, this is what I saw. And y'all, like, I've seen people from all walks of life do well in this business. All walks of life. Real quick. Jessica, so get my license now and stack. What I would do, Jessica, right now, speed is gonna take you far, okay? You got till July. Between now and July, you can get licensed and get a 2-3 month deployment and be done with it and then go into school, okay? So start taking action now. Get your licenses, get your certifications, start applying because we got hail season. Every year, by the way, y'all, we're gonna have a hail season and we have a possibility for a hurricane season. Hail season is gonna be here in March, April, so you have an opportunity there, okay? Cedric Brown, I'm gonna get to you in a second, okay? So if I'm a person that's gonna get into a nursing school by July, well, I'm gonna compress time and push to get deployed between now and July and get a deployment out of the way. Let's see if I can make $20,000, $30,000 right quick. All right, that's my mindset. Now, Cedric Brown, what advice from the manager side would you give to new adjusters to help them be more successful? Number one, you need to be coachable. Okay, I have, it's what's funny about being a manager to new adjusters is that people are, younger and older than you, but they're all like my kids in my head. You know what I'm saying? Because like I had to teach them everything they knew about adjusting. And a few people come to my mind: Marissa, my girl Casey, right? Marissa, Casey, and I had Shawanda. I had a few other women like that. I had like 80% of my team was women, right? And they were some knuckleheads. I didn't think they were that good at handling claims when I first met them. They actually weren't good at all, to be honest with you, right? But what I told them was, I said, listen, if y'all will listen to me and do what I tell you to do in your claims, I'm going to train y'all every day, and I'm going to make you the best adjuster you can be. And I'm going to make sure y'all all get to work as long as y'all can. I had 1 week. That was my mandate. I had 1 week to turn them around. If I couldn't turn them around in 1 week, everybody was gonna get fired. I wasn't gonna be no adjuster no more. Okay, or not adjuster. I wasn't be no manager no more on this last one I was on. So I took that and I ran with it, and I gave them the tools they needed. I helped Marissa out, I helped Casey out, I helped the rest of them out, and they get angry with me, little butt heads and all that. I had to do a lot of one-on-ones with them. But what happened was they stayed coachable. 6 weeks, 8 weeks in, they were handling claims like professionals, okay? So if you want to go far, you want to have success, big eyes, big ears, little mouth, okay? Hey, you can ask your management, hey, can you help me with this claim? Hey, how do you like this? How do you like my file notes to be? How do you like policy to be interpreted, right? And I would drill them on that. And I would let them know, you can ask me as many questions you want to, but you can't ask me the same question over and over again, because we're gonna have a problem, right? And I don't want to see the same mistakes over and over again. And I just help them along in that, right? So we gotta be coachable, y'all. Number one thing as a new adjuster, be coachable. Big eyes, big ears, little mouth. When you hear somebody on the phone, if you're working in an office, if you get to work with a field adjuster, if you get to see somebody else give an example of how you work, pay attention to how they do it. You don't even got to necessarily ask the question. If you just, hey, can I just watch you handle some claims real quick? Okay, what's your workflow? That's how you do it. All right, how you set your documents up? Okay, how you set your desktop up? Y'all, being coachable that's number one rule. If you can be coachable, you're gonna be successful. If you can learn to emulate successful adjusters, more senior adjusters, more organized adjusters, you're gonna be successful. Next thing, and this is so interesting to me. for the amount of money we get paid as adjusters, this is such a big problem in our business. Ability to show up on time and the ability to show up every day. Okay. We're on deployments making $600 a day, and I have people calling out once or twice a week. Okay. I had to fire people because of that. I had to personally fire them because they wouldn't show up to work to make $600 that day. I don't know about y'all. $600 is not nothing. Okay. $600 3 days in a row is $1,800. I don't know how much y'all pay for rent. 4 days in a row is $2,400. And I had people missing 4 days in a 30-day period. $2,400 they missed off their check because they didn't want to come to work that day because they were tired, right? That's crazy to think about, but that's something that holds so many new adjusters back. I had my boys, I love them boys to death, Vincent and Steve. I love them boys. They were from, one was from South Alabama, one was from Mississippi. They couldn't come to work. They just didn't want to come to work. They come in an hour late. Hey, boss, I'm coming in late. Man, what? What are you doing? You know, and those hours would add up that they were missing every day. You know, I worked with some twins years ago, Jada and Data, out there in State Farm. Jada used to miss work all the time. Come in, had midday, you know, like, y'all, I'm telling y'all be so surprised what people do when they get an opportunity. You know, they fall into their bad habits, right? And so you can't have those bad habits as a new adjuster, okay? TikTok, y'all got any questions, comments, concerns? Feel free to ask, okay? YouTube is asking all the questions right now. Y'all get in here and ask some questions, okay? So this is something that I want to really bring up, all right? So this guy asked, can't you just approve roofs if you're the adjuster and then give the roof to the contractor and double your money? All right, so let's talk about moral turpitude. Let's talk about the idea that we can't commit fraud, all right? One thing I want everybody to understand is that we are all licensed by the Department of Insurance for however many states you got licenses in, okay? We work in a regulated field, okay? You cannot just approve something because you feel like it. Like Stacy said, that is fraud, okay? You're gonna get popped. You're not only gonna get popped. See, the thing about insurance adjusting and selling insurance for that matter, you can make a mistake. That don't mean you're going to jail. But when you just start doing stuff or you start conspiring with outside vendors like roofers, plumbers, HVAC people, mold remediation, right? Tree removal. When you start talking to them and say, oh, I know a guy in Florida, man. My cousin, he work over there. I'm gonna just recommend. You start doing that if you want to. You're gonna get some federal charges, okay? Insurance fraud is like it can become a felony fairly quickly, y'all. And it's gonna be, you're gonna have a world to pay. It ain't gonna be like no slap on the wrist and they kick you out. You're not gonna be able to be an insurance adjuster no more, and they're probably gonna lock you up. Yeah, you can get locked up. Thank you. You're gonna get locked up. So this whole idea of like just approve the roof, all right. And see, the problem with that, and also I would say the problem with that mindset as well is that people do not understand how claims work. Every single time you enter a claim, your name is stamped, it's time stamped when you went into it. Okay, so even if you don't write in it, you have to have you're gonna have to be able to explain why you got in the John Doe's file. Hey, we saw you entered John Doe's file 15 times over the last 2 weeks. You never wrote a file note in it. Why is that? You're not assigned to that claim. Why would you do that? You got to have a good reason for it. That type of behavior alone will get you fired at best. All right. And so this whole idea of just approving roofs, y'all, all right. And these roofs are expensive. All right. And the carrier can come after you for damages. Like, y'all, it's roofs that are $150,000, $200,000 roofs. You can't just say yes to it or just say no to it. You better do documented research and document why you made that decision. If you can't do that, this ain't a business for you. All right. Y'all get that? Y'all understand that? Okay. What would you say was your average startup cost to get licensed? That's another question we got here. Here's what I would say. allot $1,000 to get everything you need. Okay, that's your pre-licensing course. That's your state license exam if you have pre-licensing plus exam. That's fingerprints. That's your first 5 licenses. That's any certifications you need. Any other courses like my courses. A lot of $1,000. Okay, you're gonna make it back your first week in the business. Okay, once you get hired, however much you spent to get in, as long as it ain't nothing super crazy, you're gonna make it back in the first week of being an insurance adjuster. If you pay more, you make it back in the first 2 weeks. All right. But I would say $1,000. We'll get you all in, get all the license you need, all the certifications, because it's not just one license. Okay. Do they pay for room and board when deployed away from home? Daily wage or per diem? All right, this is a great question, and I have experienced both ways. Some include per diem in how much they pay you. So they pay you a high amount, per diem's included. They don't even mention per diem. It's like, hey, we give you $400 a day, figure it out. All right. They're not going to be paying for your what's what I'm looking for. They're not going to be paying for your room and board. They're just not doing that. Independent IA firms don't do that. Now, some will pay per diem if you are more than 150 miles away from home. I have had that happen on several deployments. It is a possibility, but it's up to you. What's up, Maya? It's up to you to ask the question before you accept the deployment. Hey, Mr. Storer, we're going to be paying you, X amount of dollars an hour. Hey, I'll be going to travel there. Do y'all have per diem? Oh, we do have per diem, but you got to have this and that, and it's this much money. I would not be accepting deployments and then get out there and then find out they don't do per diem, and then now the money looking funny. All right, which leads me to my next point. You need to do your math. You need to know what the math is and if the deployment can be profitable for you or not before you say yes. Some will pay up to $400 for travel reimbursement to the site. Yes, they will. I've seen it even more. Canada, when I was working in Canada, they paid up to $1,000 for travel reimbursement. But that's because you were crossing the country, right? So it all just depends on where you're working and living at, right? Questions, comments, concerns. TikTok, y'all starting to act like something now. Y'all starting to ask some questions. I appreciate that. Okay. Now let's keep going. How much frequency do you have to travel and how far? And are you away from home a lot? What kind of adjuster are you? All right. What's up, Tenant? So how much do you travel and how far? That depends on the year. I've had years where I was essentially storm chasing, where I went to every deployment they had out there. I'm just hopping on the road, taking a bunch of field deployments. And I did that because I was just trying to get my skills up, I've had other years where I did not work away from home for years. And I've had other times where I only did it once or twice. I may have only did it once in a year. So it really just depends on the goals you have for that year and the luck of the draw on what kind of events we have, right? There was a time where I was away from home for a long time. Now, keep in mind, y'all, I was a single guy. Well, I'm still single, but I was a single guy for most of that time. So it didn't really matter about me being away from home. I wanted it to work. I wanted to handle some insurance claims. Now, what kind of adjuster are you? I'm an independent adjuster. What I mean by that is, if it's auto adjuster I need to do, I'm gonna handle some auto claims. If it's a field adjuster I need to do, I'm gonna handle some field claims. If it's some desk adjuster I need to do, I'm gonna do that. If it's some management of desk adjusters, I'm gonna do that too, right? So I am what my license says I am, an independent adjuster. Okay. I spread myself out there so I can get as many deployments as I need, right? All right. This is another one that comes up quite often. How do you become an independent adjuster? I've been a staff claims adjuster for a State Farm. All right, it's a simple process. What I would say first of all is I would want to do a national producer number lookup, or I want to do a license lookup, and I want to see if I own my own home state license, all right, and what licenses I have with me and which one are tied to my carrier. Some of us that switch from staff to independent are going to have almost all of those licenses. Others won't have but a few. It just depends on what carrier you work for, all right? So Once you find out how many licenses you actually have, the next thing is you want to do the same thing the regular independent adjusters do. Go get some certifications. All right, go get some certifications, go get some rosters, and start applying for jobs. Right? It's really quite simple. All right, it's really quite simple. So don't think that there's some secret tunnel you got to go through to switch from staff to independent, because that's not the case. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? TikTok, y'all got any questions? Feel free to ask away. Okay. Same thing for YouTube. Y'all can ask away. Let me see how many people have been up in here. We're gonna had a whole bunch of people come through here on TikTok. I'm trying to see. Will TikTok tell me how many people have been in here? I used to know how to do this, and I ain't did it in so long. I have not done this on TikTok in so long. I forgot where everything is. Let's see. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm waiting on TikTok to answer some questions. Also, YouTube, y'all got questions? Feel free to hop in here. I'm gonna figure this out. Okay, so we got 99 people over here. Yeah, we got 100 people have popped in on TikTok already. Okay, cool. That's what I was wondering. Ray for Rich, what's up? Thanks for everybody hopping in here. We're talking about independent adjusting. We've been talking about it for about an hour. Independent adjusting is a lucrative industry. It's where insurance carriers hire someone to handle claims when they get too overwhelmed. Things like wildfires, hurricanes, hail season, a whole bunch of car accidents, things like that. Those people are called independent adjusters. They have to be licensed. They're going to be licensed through a Department of Insurance for the state they live in, their resident state, and then they usually have a few more licenses, right? It's less than $1,000 to get into it, and it's a six-figure industry. Okay, so this is your first time hearing about it. My name is Stephen Story. I've been in this business for 10 years now, going on 11 years, and it has changed my entire life, my financial outcomes. My mother's in this business, my best friend's in this business, and I've taught thousands of people how to get in this business, right? So if you got questions, comments, concerns, feel free to ask away. I'm answering questions from the comment sections. All right, so I'm gonna keep going, okay? All right, so I did remote work for a month and I got fired. I wanna get back into the business though. Any suggestions? So this is what I would say to everybody. So when you get fired and you get hired again, it's the same process as getting hired for the first time, okay? Get on your rosters, call these IA firms up, see what they got available, see what certifications they're looking for, and start asking away. I'm not going to get into teacher mode because there's a whole lot more that goes into that, right? But once you get hired the first time and then you get released, you got to go through that hiring process again. So put some effort into it, and you'll be fine. All right, guys. I teach that, by the way, in the roadmap become an independent adjuster. That course I have taught over 5,000 people. Okay, you can click the link in my bio. You can also click the link on my main page on YouTube. For whoever's watching where, and you can have a look at that. All right, but I don't want to go into detail with that right now. I just want to keep answering these questions for y'all. Thanks everybody for hopping in here. We're going for an hour. Let's see, y'all been popping since I turned on this live. You know what? I have not done a live on TikTok in probably a year and a half, and this is fun. This is fun so far. I'll be doing lives on YouTube all the time, but I'll be doing them unlisted, right? So, questions. Okay. Oh, so live will end we have detected inactivity. Okay, hold on. I gotta do some activity. All right, it was about to cut my live off. I had to hop back in here. So let's get back to some questions. Do you think a full-time college student can do this part-time? I might pursue it as a full-time career. No, I do not think that. I'm not gonna sell anybody a dream on the idea that they can work full-time or be a college student full-time, be an independent adjuster. We work too much. We're talking 50, 60, 70-hour-a-week commitments when we're on deployments. It's not happening, okay? What would you guess the average pay would be for someone who's completely new? I'm looking to get my license in Texas. Here's the thing, right? So somebody being new does not define their pay rate. What defines their pay rate is what the deployment is offering, right? So I had new adjusters on my last deployment when I was managing. They were making $16,000, $17,000 a month. Why? Because it was a small firm that handle claims for a specific carrier who had a specific pay rate for everybody, right? And so everybody on that deployment was making $15,000, $16,000 a month, whether it was brand new or they had plenty of experience, right? And so that's what comes into play more. Is not that you're new, is what does that deployment pay? Okay, that's what we want to look at. All right. All right. Questions, y'all. I'm an hour into this. I'm a bit tired. Okay, I'm a bit tired, so I'm gonna let y'all ask some questions. Okay, I already had a bunch of questions written out. Also, by the way, y'all, if you got questions, comments, concerns I couldn't get to y'all on TikTok tonight, feel free to shoot me a DM. Okay, feel free to email me. Feel free to comment below these things. I'm always happy to talk to y'all about independent adjusting. I am crazy about this industry. I've been in it for a long time now, and it has changed everything for me. And if I can help any of y'all on the way, all right, I want to help y'all with that. One thing I want to leave y'all with as well is that just because it's slow today don't mean it's gonna be slow tomorrow. Okay, 2025 was a slow year. That does not mean that independent adjusting is done. It does not mean that it's gonna be slow forever. That's just not the case. Uh, you wouldn't be tired if your hair wasn't blonde. You know what? It's not blonde, it's platinum. Okay? This is platinum right here. All right. Once I put my toner in, this thing look almost like white, like the back of this wall right here. Okay. But y'all, every year is different in this business. There's a lot of opportunity in this business of independent adjusting. Y'all need to stay in your P's and Q's. For those y'all who already been licensed. Okay. Yeah, Nashville is frozen. Claims will start rolling in. I was talking to a friend today, and he said it's so many trees that have fallen down, and they're on these roofs and stuff. Those are claims. A tree on a roof, that's an insurance claim off the rip. Because at least, even if you don't damage the roof, they still got to get the tree off the roof. So they're going to file a claim for that, right? So, y'all, there's always opportunity out there. We got to be prepared for it, okay? That's all I got for y'all for tonight, okay? Thanks, y'all. I appreciate y'all hopping in here. We got over 100 people on TikTok, right? Okay, here we are. That's another one. Thank you, Cedric. So how will our experiences change and shape our careers as we progress through our adjuster journey? Wow, that is a profound question. I think that I'll answer this and I'll just tell you a bit about my career and how it changed and shaped where I wanted to go. Okay, so my first deployment was in Winter Haven, Florida, 2016. So I started in September 2016. And I did not get any training. I was in a random city I never heard of, a small town. I didn't know anyone, and I felt very nervous, on that first deployment. I got released. I got sent to the next place, which was Frederick, Maryland. And I had even less training on that deployment. But I started to get connected with some people who were serious. They wanted to handle their claims well. And I worked at that deployment for a few weeks, and I got released again, and I had like 6 weeks off, and then I got hired on a long-term deployment. And I started to learn how to actually handle claims, and I had some serious managers. A manager by the name of Rod, and he was dead serious about handling claims. And what I really liked about him was how serious he took his job and how much knowledge he had about the industry. And so I was working with a lot of really hungry adjusters who wanted to be good. They really wanted to be good at what they did. And so what it did was it allowed me to begin to take insurance adjusting seriously on my third deployment. And I had a mentor and a manager named Rod, and I challenged myself to be excellent. I wanted to be excellent at what I did for a living. And that began to shape my career. And on that deployment, Stacey, if you remember State Farm out there by Perimeter Mall, you remember that State Farm over there that had eyes at, and then they sent us out there to Alpharetta. But we were on a deployment with like several hundred IAs, right? And so you got to hear all these different experiences and how I used to work in Canada, how I worked over here, I worked for this firm, I did this, I did that. And over time, I got to learn more about the industry, even working on one deployment. That was my third deployment. I got to work on it. And then I started finding out, hey, you need to get this certification for this thing. Hey, you need to get these licenses for this thing, right? And so it started to shape who I was and who I was going to become in the business, right? And then I started learning how to take care of my money. You know, I had IAs that called me out and said, hey, you spend all your money, Steve. I know you're young, but you can't spend your money like that, right? And so that kept, you know, teaching me about the business. But what I continued to do over the years was I kept leaning in. I just kept leaning in to learning. I wanted to keep learning, right? And what began to happen, I started messing around, started getting good. And then I do these long deployments out with these older adjusters, these more experienced adjusters. Then I would take what they learned to the next deployment. And the next one, next one, right? And I'll just pick up. Because see, I'm not just trying to earn money on the deployment. I want to earn experience. I want to earn knowledge, right? I learned how to talk on the phone from a manager he was a former manager of a debt collecting call center, right? And so I sat next to him for 6 months. And so I learned how to control conversations and control outcomes for my insurers while they were on the phone with me, right? Those are just little things I learned. I didn't learn that from a book. I learned that sitting next to somebody. Rod, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you right now, Rod, by the way. My old manager from when I first got into business, he Rod over here on TikTok. But those were the things that shaped my career, you know. And then I started going after some of the big stuff. I wanted to get to that $15,000 to $20,000 a month club, you know, as an adjuster. And so I learned what I need to do to get there, who I need to apply to, who paid that kind of money. I went and got it. I wanted to work outside the United States. I wanted to work in Canada. Bam, I worked in Canada, got me a work visa. I got licensed in a few states out there, a few provinces out there in Canada, started working and handling Canadian claims, right? I said, hey, I want to make X amount of dollars. Then I went and did it, right? And so it came from connecting with adjusters and being committed to learning, okay? And committed to being excellent at what I did for a living, right? So, Cedric, that's a great question, by the way. Great question. Questions on this side, y'all? TikTok, y'all got any questions? YouTube got any questions? I'm glad you asked that one, by the way. It was a good question. Y'all want me to do this more often? I haven't done this in a while. I know I haven't done this in a while, but I think I'm gonna keep doing it. I like talking to y'all. Y'all are fun. Okay, and I enjoy helping insurance adjusters, right? I got to meet a whole bunch of insurance adjusters that knew me from the internet on my last deployment, and it was just surreal because, you know, not living in the United States, I don't really get to. I'm talking to a camera in my computer right now. Those are the only people that talk to me about insurance adjusting is my camera, my computer. And so for years, I never ran into anybody in insurance adjusting, even though I was teaching for all these years. But it was surreal. I went to a deployment and it was like everybody knew me. You know, everybody knew who I was. It was crazy. You know, it was just so surreal to have that experience, right? And so it's like, you know, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's see how many more people can we help get in this business. How many more people can we, you know, level up their experiences, right? But anyway, guys, if you're new to adjusting, you want to know more about it, click the link in my bio. I got a course called Roadmap to Becoming an Independent Adjuster. Taught thousands and thousands of people, and it's got some really great reviews on there. If you got questions, you're like, hey, see, I got this personal thing. Hey, can you help me out with this? Shoot me a DM. I'd love to talk to y'all. My name is Stephen Story on all social media platforms. Hit me up. It is 11:10 my time. I'm finna lay down. Okay, I'm finna calm down, lay down, watch me a little TV before I go to bed. All right. I appreciate y'all, YouTube, TikTok. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for following me. Thank y'all for staying tuned this whole time. All right. I'll talk to y'all soon.